Discover the incredible moment a little girl invited a lonely CEO to join her family. Heartwarming and unforgettable. In a cozy Midwestern town brimming with tradition, Lucy, a 10-year-old girl full of dreams, stood at her family's dining table, excitement sparkling in her big brown eyes. Thanksgiving was just around the corner, and although her family faced tough times, her father having lost his job, the weight of uncertain days hung heavily on her mother. They were determined to celebrate. The scent of roasted turkey and sweet potato pie wafted through the air, mingling with laughter, like a cozy embrace. Family dinners had always been a cherished ritual, a staple in their lives, and Lucy's heart overflowed with an innocent hope that could melt even the coldest worries. But not all was well in the town. As Lucy set the table with care, she caught sight of Mr. Thompson, the new CEO, strolling through the streets. Clad in his plush suit, he seemed to float, disconnected from the friendly waves of neighbors. Lucy watched him, her gentle spirit sensing the hollowness behind his confident facade. "He looks lonely," she whispered, her mind turning with thoughts of bridging the gap between their worlds. Drawing on her adventurous spirit, Lucy decided that Mr. Thompson belonged at their Thanksgiving table. "I'm inviting him," she declared one night over dinner, her family's warm cocoon faltering momentarily. Silence fell like a soft blanket before her parents exchanged glances, worry etching their brows. "Do you really think?" her mother started. But Lucy's eyes twinkled with fierce belief in kindness, and after a heavy pause, they tentatively agreed, although apprehension lingered. As the big day dawned, jitters buzzed around the home. Guests gathered, their hearts full of the day's spirit, though the air was tinged with uncertainty. Mr. Thompson arrived, his presence like a giant in a fragile world. The clinking of silverware filled the room, punctuated by awkward silence as smiles and cautious conversations leaped from other guests. But in the chaos, Lucy's laughter bubbled up like a stream, brightening the room. She shared funny quirks of her family, and slowly, Mr. Thompson began to shed the cold exterior, revealing the warmth beneath. He shared stories of his past, stories that tangled with Lucy's own, a childhood filled with hardship, dreams diminished by the pressures of success. Yet, just as bonds were forming, a storm swept across the town, fierce winds rattling windows and rageful rain threatening all in its path. As community members gathered at the town hall to discuss how to help those in need, Lucy's family found themselves in dire straits, stranded by the flood. In that moment, Mr. Thompson faced a crossroads. Would he retreat to the safety of his wealth, or would he step up, embracing the community's struggle that mirrored his own family's? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As people braved the storm, the air hummed with anxious hope. Mr. Thompson stood at the crossroads, moved by the revelations from his shared Thanksgiving experience. Could he discover a purpose beyond profits, a way to open his heart to the very community that welcomed him with open arms? The weight of expectation hung in the air, leaving Lucy's family, the townsfolk, and Mr. Thompson himself questioning whether kindness could forge a new path forward. Would he rise and embrace this chance for redemption, or would he let it slip away, lost in the storm? The answer loomed, fragile and hopeful, as darkness danced at the edges of this small town. As the rain lashed mercilessly against the windows, Mr. Thompson's heart raced. He felt the tide of connection surge within him, sparked by Lucy's laughter and warmth. He glanced toward the dining room, where a few guests were still animatedly discussing how to help. His conflicted thoughts pulsed like raindrops against the glass. He had everything but the one thing he craved, a sense of belonging. In that moment, an elderly neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, approached him, her eyes filled with concern. "Mr. Thompson," she said softly, "I know you might not be familiar with our town, but we've always pulled together in a crisis. Some folks down by Maple Street lost everything to the rising waters. If you could, maybe lend a hand?" Her words hung in the humid air, stirring something deep within him. He thought about those stories he had heard at dinner, the shared memories of love, loss, and the strength that comes from togetherness. He had spent so many years locked in a world where success was measured in profits, achievements, and titles. But now, faced with a choice, he could feel the stirring of something more profound. With a determined nod, Mr. Thompson replied, "Tell me what needs to be done." His heart began to mend under the weight of an unexpected purpose, ready to transform the endless cycle of greed into something meaningful. As the storm raged on, Mr. Thompson joined Mrs. Jenkins and several other neighbors. Together, they gathered supplies, blankets, food, and warm clothes, stacking them high in a makeshift boat fashioned from an old tarp and wooden boards, ready to deliver much-needed aid to those stranded. The rain fell in sheets, soaking them to the skin, yet each act felt more invigorating than the last. Mr. Thompson's laughter harmonized with Lucy's, echoing across the storm, blending their spirits into a newfound camaraderie. He saw the faces of his neighbors light up as they worked side by side, unified against the raging storm. The warmth of their connections began to dissolve the cold barriers he had built around himself over the years. When they finally reached Maple Street, the scene was heartbreaking. Houses stood half submerged, water creeping into what had once been warm, happy homes. But amidst the despair, he witnessed remarkable resilience. Neighbors held each other tight while rescuers created a path to safety. It was nothing short of inspiring. In that moment, Lucy's innocent voice echoed in his mind. Everyone needs a place to belong. He remembered her family's belief in the power of kindness. And just like that, he understood. The simple act of sharing a meal around the table wasn't just about food, it was about opening doors and hearts. As they passed supplies to grateful families, a shy child approached him. The little girl, her face smudged with dirt yet sparkling with hope, held up a beautiful, hand-drawn card. "Thank you, mister. You're a hero," she exclaimed. Mr. Thompson accepted the card, emotion swelling in his chest. He couldn't recall the last time someone had called him that. It felt foreign yet warm, igniting a flame of hope he thought had long since extinguished. However, as he turned back toward the group, he caught sight of a shadow lurking just outside the glow of the warm hearth they had created together. It was Lucy's family, peeking through the doorway with anxious eyes. Suddenly, the question loomed larger. How would he bring them all together to rebuild not just homes, but a genuine sense of community? His heart raced anew, pulse quickening with anticipation. What if this was just the beginning? As the storm began to wane, a new kind of challenge surged forward, the wave of uncertainty blending with reckless hope. Would Mr. Thompson find the strength to embrace a new role, not just as a CEO, but as a community leader? And how would Lucy's faith in him shape their future together? It felt like the start of something beautiful, even amidst the remnants of a storm. Mr. Thompson drew a deep breath, still holding the card the little girl had given him. The crayon drawing of a house with blue skies illuminated by the sun made his heart flutter. He tore his eyes away from it, feeling the rush of uncertainty surge back. What if he failed? The thought clenched at his stomach. But it was Lucy's family standing just a few feet away, hesitating, their eyes reflecting the flickering candlelight, that pushed him forward. He stepped closer to them. "Hey there," he called out, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside. The family's posture shifted, uncertainty mingling with curiosity. They were all watching him, waiting. "Would you like to come over and lend a hand?" he asked, gesturing toward the supplies. "We can still help a lot of people, and I know you all have some amazing stories to share. This is something we can do together." As he spoke, he felt a fracture in the once impenetrable walls around his heart. Lucy's mom stepped forward, her hands shaking slightly. "You really think we could help?" she asked, hope flickering in her voice. Mr. Thompson smiled, this time more genuine. "Absolutely. I'm sure you all have questions or things to share about your neighbors. You have a wealth of knowledge. Let us put it to good use." Her face broke into a relieved grin, and within moments, Lucy raced forward, tugging on her mother's sleeve. "Come on, Mom. Let us help." Together, they formed a line, passing the supplies with newfound determination. These weren't just items being handed out, they were gestures of compassion, small tokens of solidarity woven together by a shared experience. For the first time, Mr. Thompson felt a sense of rhythm, a heartbeat pulsing in sync with those around him. They moved from house to house, each time encountering more families, each with their own stories of courage and resilience. Mr. Thompson listened intently, absorbing every word. He'd spent years reducing human interactions to mere transactions but was now finding the richness of sharing experiences, their laughter becoming his lifeline. As they approached what seemed to be the last house on Maple Street, he saw tears glistening in Lucy's eyes. "What's the matter?" he asked, kneeling beside her. "I just wish we could help everyone. There are so many people who still need us," she replied, her small fists clenched. "Lucy, look at what we've done so far. Every little bit counts." He rested a comforting hand on her shoulder, feeling as if they were crafting a safety net, one connection at a time, one handclasp at a time. She nodded slowly, the worry in her eyes softening into determination. And with that, they knocked on the door. The frail figure that answered blinked through the uncertainty, each frightened glance melting into gratitude as they shared the supplies. As the sun broke free from behind the clouds, illuminating the devastation, it also cast a warm golden glow over the newfound connections. Mr. Thompson could see it. He felt the pulse of a community awakening, and it filled him with a strange and exhilarating sense of belonging. But as they returned to his car, a knock from behind startled him. It was Mrs. Jenkins again. "Mr. Thompson, we were wondering, would you come to our meeting tomorrow? There's so much to plan for, and your experience could really guide us." His heart raced at the invitation. The weight of doubt hung heavy. Could he truly step into this role? Would he risk his comfortable isolation to embrace this call? He took a moment to respond, and just as he opened his mouth, Lucy's bright eyes lit up with encouragement. "Please say yes. We need your help." And in that moment, he realized he wasn't ready to turn back. "I'd be honored," he said, knowing deep inside that this journey had only just begun. Around him, the sounds of laughter and determination echoed into the clear, blue sky, but deep within, questions lingered. Could he truly lead? And what if it tested his heart more than ever before? The next day, Mr. Thompson arrived at the community center, heart pounding like a drum. The building stood tall and resolute against the backdrop of a vibrant blue sky, its usual bustle now quiet, waiting for the voices of the community to fill it once again. As he stepped inside, the familiar scent of coffee and baked goods wafted through the air. It felt oddly comforting, like a warm hug after a long absence. Mrs. Jenkins was already setting up the chairs, her brow furrowed with concentration. "Mr. Thompson. Glad you made it," she said, her smile wide but her eyes betraying a flicker of worry. "We have a lot to discuss today." He nodded, the weight of responsibility settling heavily on his shoulders. He had said yes, but the reality of what that meant began to sink in. Lucy's excitement from yesterday echoed in his mind. What if he failed them? As others began to trickle in, conversations swarmed the room like butterflies, flitting from one topic to another. Old neighbors greeted each other with familiar warmth, while newcomers exchanged nervous glances, unsure of their role in this moment of rekindling connections. Mr. Thompson took a seat at the front, pulling out his notebook, feeling the familiar rhythm of pen against paper calm his racing thoughts. "Let us start with what we need right now," Mrs. Jenkins said, gathering everyone's attention. "We need to assess who's been affected by the storm and what supplies are still needed." She turned to Mr. Thompson. "Your experience in planning community initiatives could really guide us here." Something inside him stirred. Could he really help with this? As he watched the faces around the room, each glowing with determination, hope, and a little fear, he saw reflections of himself in their eyes. These people were not just neighbors. They were a tapestry of stories longing to be woven together again. "Why don't we divide into groups?" he suggested, the words spilling out before he could second-guess them. "Each group can tackle a specific area, gathering supplies, reaching out to families, organizing volunteer efforts." The room buzzed with energy as people began to break into lively discussions. It felt exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Mr. Thompson closed his eyes briefly, trying to ground himself. Just then, he felt a small hand tugging at his sleeve. It was Lucy, her eyes shining with excitement. "Mr. Thompson. Can I help?" Her enthusiasm radiated, igniting something in him that felt like a spark of hope. "Of course, Lucy," he said, smiling down at her. "We can be in charge of spreading the word. Maybe we can make flyers or go door to door." "Yes. I want to help everyone," she exclaimed, bouncing on her toes. They spent the next hour crafting messages, working closely together. Lucy's ideas were filled with simple kindness that struck deep. "We should add a picture, something happy," she said, adding doodles of hearts and sunshines. As she worked, Mr. Thompson couldn't help but admire her passion, marveling at how her innocence breathed life into something that had felt so heavy. When they were finished, Lucy eagerly pinned their colorful flyers to the community board. He watched her stand back, hands on her hips, her face glowing with pride. In that moment, he felt a connection deeper than he had experienced in years. "Look at the difference we're making," she said, her voice ringing with joy. Just then, a somber woman slowly approached them, her face tired and lined with worry. "Excuse me, I saw your flyers," she started, her voice shaky. Mr. Thompson's heart dropped. Would they be able to meet this woman's needs? As he listened to her story, the weight of real-life struggles pressed upon him, bringing with it an urgency he hadn't anticipated. It was more than just organizing supplies now, these were people. Families. Connections. "Together, we can figure this out," he said softly, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. But deep down, he couldn't shake the question that lingered: did he have the strength to lead them through this? In the air hung a mixture of hope and fear. And Mr. Thompson couldn't help but wonder, was he truly ready for what lay ahead? Mrs. Williams, the woman in front of them, hesitated for a moment, her lips trembling slightly as she gathered her thoughts. "I lost everything in the storm," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "My home, my belongings, my husband. It's just me and my little girl now." The ache in her eyes cut through Mr. Thompson like a knife. Lucy, ever observant, squeezed Mr. Thompson's hand as if to lend him strength. She didn't fully grasp the weight of Mrs. Williams' words, but she could sense the sadness. "Can we help you find a new home?" she asked earnestly, her small voice piercing the heaviness of the moment. Mrs. Williams blinked rapidly, blinking back tears. "I don't know if that's possible, sweet girl. I just need to get things organized, find a way to support us." Mr. Thompson felt a rush of determination surge through him. He straightened his posture, feeling the warm support of Lucy beside him. "We can help you with that. We'll start by reaching out to other families who might have resources. But it's not just about finding a place, it's about finding a community." A flicker of hope ignited in Mrs. Williams' eyes. "Do you really mean that?" "Absolutely," Mr. Thompson said, trying to convey strength. "You're not alone in this. We're all in this together." The room had grown quiet, the discussions that once filled it replaced with a shared understanding. Dozens of eyes were fixed on him, eyes that held stories of struggle, fear, and a longing for connection. Biting his lip, he searched the faces for reassurance, unsure if he was the right person to bear the burden of such promises. But Lucy's unwavering gaze seemed to say otherwise. It was simple, but it spoke volumes. She believed in the power of community, and maybe, just maybe, he could too. "Why don't we create a list of what you need right now?" he suggested, turning back to Mrs. Williams. "We can pool our resources, talents, and ideas to support you. I'll help coordinate everything." As he spoke, a ripple of energy passed through the gathering, rekindling a sense of purpose. People began to nod, their spirits lifting. After brainstorming their first steps, laughter quietly began to return to the room. They were making a plan. Each idea sparked anew imaginings of possibilities. The chatter resumed, and Mr. Thompson felt himself relax slightly. They could do this. They would do this. "It might seem overwhelming now," Mrs. Jenkins chimed in, placing a comforting hand on Mrs. Williams' shoulder. "But every little step counts. We'll find ways to support your family, I promise." Moved by the genuine warmth surrounding them, Mr. Thompson glanced at Lucy, who was busy doodling on the margin of her notebook, bright colors splashing against the white paper like joy breaking through a storm. "Every little smile helps," she declared, holding her drawing up for everyone to see. "We just need to spread happiness. Let's put up more flyers, everyone should see how we can help each other." Her enthusiasm was infectious, and it breathed life back into the room. Mr. Thompson smiled, realizing that sometimes the smallest voices had the loudest impact. They could be the lighthouse that guided people home. As everyone started gathering their ideas and plans, an unsettling thought gnawed at Mr. Thompson. What if the storm, the chaos that brought them together, was just the beginning? What if there were deeper issues lurking beneath the surface, waiting to unravel? Just then, as the group began to disperse into new conversations, a loud crash echoed from the back of the center, freezing everyone in place. Mr. Thompson's heart raced as he turned to see what had happened. There, in a corner, a stack of supplies had toppled over, sending boxes flying in all directions. It felt like a metaphor for everything he feared about this community effort. Was he ready to pick up the pieces, or would it all fall apart again? His mind raced as the anxious murmurs rose around him. What needed to happen next for this community to come together? And just as he drew a breath to address the chaos, the soft, trembling voice of Lucy pierced through the murmur. "Maybe we can help them too." Every eye turned to him, waiting for his next words, hanging on the something only he could offer. Would he step up, or would he let them down? The air thickened with urgency and hope, leaving him to ponder where this journey was truly leading. Mr. Thompson's eyes darted around the room, each gaze reflecting an unspoken question: would he rise to meet this moment? The weight of responsibility pressed down on his chest as he glanced at Mrs. Williams. Her eyes, filled with fear and hope, sparked a fire in him. He needed to act, to show the community that they could rebuild trust and connection. "We can absolutely help," he said, his voice ringing with newfound conviction. "Why don't we form smaller groups? If we each take one aspect of Mrs. Williams' situation, like organizing donations, finding job leads, or even just being there for emotional support, we can tackle this together." A rumble of agreement swept through the crowd, igniting a renewed spirit. Lucy beamed, her little hands clapping together at the prospect of it all. "Yes. Let us all play a part. Like a team." Her enthusiasm was infectious, sweeping through the room like a warming breeze. "What about supplies?" chimed in Mr. Garcia, a retired firefighter. "I can get my neighbors involved. We've got tools, food, clothes, whatever she might need." "Perfect. And I'll rally my book club, they love to help out," added Mrs. Jenkins, her eyes sparkling with excitement. With each suggestion, the air thickened with determination. Mr. Thompson felt his heart swell. It was more than a plan, it felt like they were weaving a safety net, each strand strong enough to catch the people who might fall. But then a voice broke through the jubilant chatter. It was Desmond, the quiet man who had watched from the sidelines. "But what if we can't help enough? What if, after all this effort, it's not enough for Mrs. Williams and her daughter?" The room fell silent, the energy fading just slightly as dread crept in. Mr. Thompson could see it, the doubt rippling through the group. He stepped forward, grounding himself. "Listen, helping doesn't mean we have to fix everything at once. Each of us has a part to play, and even the smallest act of kindness can spark something bigger. If we keep showing up, we'll create change." Lucy's hand shot up, her sweetness cutting through the tension. "Like the flowers in spring. They grow little by little until they fill up the whole garden." Her innocent metaphor brought a smile to many faces. Laughter bubbled up softly, the spirit rising once more. "Exactly." Mr. Thompson laughed along, feeling lighter. "And together, we can be the garden that grows, nurturing each other along the way." As people laughed and began discussing their contributions enthusiastically, Mr. Thompson felt hope bloom within him. He watched as Lucy danced through the crowd, her joyful spirit uniting their collective energy. Her passion swept in like a warm breeze, and he realized that this gathering was a turning point. It was the moment they all needed. But then, a sharp voice pierced the laughter. "And what about the other families like Mrs. Williams? How will we reach them?" It was Mrs. Johnson, her tone serious, her brow furrowed. The cheer faded as everyone turned toward Mr. Thompson again, awaiting his response. His heart raced as he thought about what a bigger effort would entail. He had promised once that they were in this together. But how wide could they cast their net? Was he ready to take this daunting step? I believe we can, he said slowly, swallowing hard. Let us expand our efforts. We could organize a community fair, a resource fair. Maybe even a fundraiser. But it won't be easy. Before he could finish, Lucy jumped in again. I can help with the posters. We need bright colors to show everyone that we care. As her eyes sparkled with excitement, the back of Mr. Thompson's mind whispered doubts about what the future might hold. Could they really reach out beyond the comfort of their small group? Just as the room started buzzing with excitement again, there was a sudden loud knock at the door, echoing ominously against the lively chatter. Curiosity silenced the crowd once more. Who could it be? The moment felt charged, like the calm before the storm. Mr. Thompson exchanged a worried glance with Lucy. What news awaited them? What did this visitor bring to the table? The knock echoed again, sharp and demanding. Everyone turned toward the door, a wave of anticipation and unease rippling through the crowd. Who could it be? Did they come to lend a hand or bring more worries? Mr. Thompson took a deep breath, gathering courage as he walked to the door. He opened it slowly, revealing a tall figure dressed in an immaculate suit, his jaw set tight and a frown creasing his forehead. It was Mr. Green, the CEO of a major local business. His reputation preceded him. He was known for being tough but also for getting things done. Mr. Thompson, he stated firmly, as if they were in a boardroom meeting rather than a community gathering, I hear there's talk about helping the Williams family. Yes, we're organizing support for them and others too, Mr. Thompson replied, his voice steady despite the flash of anxiety in his gut. Support is great, but let us be realistic. We can't fix everything. You need connections, resources, and you're going to need funding. His eyes scanned the room, taking in the eclectic group of townspeople gathered around. You need a plan with substance. A wave of murmurs broke out, folks shifting uneasily in the space. Mr. Thompson felt a mixture of frustration and fear. Did he see the eyes roll? Did he sense the collective doubt each person felt at Mr. Green's arrival? Yet something inside him stirred a resilient itch that urged him to push back. Mr. Green, we may not have a detailed plan yet, but we're acting on good intent and community spirit. We all want to help, he said, fierce conviction pushing through. And sometimes, that can be more powerful than cash or connections. But Mr. Green remained unmoved, his face stoic. Good intentions aren't enough in the real world. What about the people who need this help today? His voice was stern, like a thundercloud promising rain. Lucy, sensing the shift in mood, approached the door. She peered up at Mr. Green, her little hands clasped before her. Hi. Mr. Green, we're going to make colorful posters to tell everyone about the fair. Everyone can help and that's important too. Her innocence hung in the air, and for just a moment, he seemed taken aback. There was a flicker of something softer in his eyes, as if he didn't know quite how to handle the simplicity of her words. Posters, huh? He looked down at her, his expression softening slightly. Children think of the most interesting ways to invite people, don't they? Mr. Thompson saw the shift and seized the moment. Exactly. Lucy reminds us that community isn't just about money, it's about people working together, inspiring each other. Wouldn't it be great if your company could sponsor the fair? Help us gather the supplies we need to reach those families? Silence followed, the tension palpable. Mr. Green was weighing his options, his brow furrowing. Lucy began to sway her body gently, her sweet voice filling the charged atmosphere. You'll help us, right? Everyone should be invited to help, and you can bring your big company. We can be friends. Mr. Green looked from her hopeful eyes to the determined faces watching him closely. The corners of his mouth twitched, almost a smile, yet the weight of uncertainty still lingered in the air. For a heartbeat, it seemed that time stood still. The crowd held its breath, waiting on his decision, eager for his answer. Would he choose to join a movement that was more than profit? Just then, another loud knock interrupted the moment, even louder than before. Mr. Thompson's heart raced again. It was another visitor. What could they possibly bring? The weight of the room shifted once more, and everyone's attention snapped back to the door. Was it someone to support their cause, or would it bring more chaos? As Mr. Thompson prepared to open the door again, fear and hope mingled in the air, pulsating with every heart present. What awaited them on the other side? Would the community find its strength once more, or would they face even greater hurdles? Mr. Thompson steadied his breathing, placing his hand on the door handle. He exchanged a quick glance with Lucy, her quiet optimism shining amid the murmur of uncertainty. He could sense the crowd's collective anticipation, every heartbeat felt like a countdown. With an intentional motion, he swung open the door, revealing a woman with wild curls cascading down her shoulders. Her eyes brimmed with enthusiasm, sparkling almost as brightly as the badge she wore: community volunteer. She stood there, a cardboard box cradled in her arms, packed with supplies and snacks. "Hi everyone. I'm Sarah," she cheered, her voice bubbling over with energy. "I heard there's a gathering happening. I brought cookies and markers for the posters Lucy was talking about." A wave of relief washed over the room, breaking the heavy tension like sunlight piercing through storm clouds. Lucy's face lit up, her grin widening at the prospect of her one-woman campaign for a fair. "Cookies and markers. Yay!" she squealed, jumping on her toes. Mr. Thompson felt a glimmer of hope alight in his chest. Perhaps this was the unexpected boost they needed. "Thank you, Sarah," Mr. Thompson said, stepping aside to invite her in. "We're trying to organize an event to raise support for families in need. It seems we could use a little help." "Help? I've got plenty of that." Sarah grinned, setting the box down and pulling out items one by one. "We can make posters to decorate the fair and invite everyone to contribute. This community is generous, we just need to remind them how powerful their support can be." Mr. Green, whose stance had shifted slightly as Sarah burst in, found himself looking on, frowning slightly as the atmosphere in the room began to change. Here was a spontaneity and connection he hadn't anticipated. He shifted his weight, grappling with the situation unfolding before him, resisting the warmth that tugged at him. Lucy skipped towards Sarah, her small hands reaching out for the colorful markers. "Can I help? I'm a great artist." "Of course." Sarah beamed, kneeling beside her on the floor. Slowly, the whispers around the room turned into hopeful chatter as everyone began to join in. The energy shifted, arms moving, voices lifting, the room ignited. Mr. Thompson looked over to Mr. Green. "It's happening. Look, this is community spirit. Every act, no matter how small, can add up." Green's expression remained conflicted, he seemed to be wrestling with the impact of the moment. Mr. Thompson sensed the walls around him start to crack ever so slightly. "Imagine this," Sarah continued, her voice rising above the clatter, "a fair where everyone is involved. Each family sharing a piece of their heart. This isn't just another event. It's about helping each other heal and rebuild." The crowd began gathering around the table, the marker caps popping off one by one amidst laughter and chatter. Ideas sprang to life. Lucy nestled in close to Sarah, her excitement radiating with every new design, and then Mr. Green, for the first time, leaned closer, curiosity peaking. "So, you're telling me a board of pamphlets and a few posters can really inspire a town?" "More than that," Sarah replied, her face serious yet hopeful. "It can show every person in this town that they matter. That their strengths can weave together to create something incredible." Mr. Green studied the scene before him, the families rallying, volunteers collaborating, and something underneath shook loose. He had built his empire on profits and projections, but maybe there was a different way to measure success. Heart pounding, Mr. Thompson took one step closer, feeling the stirring of change in the air. "Mr. Green, could you?" Before he could finish, another loud knock sounded, much like the first, but this time tinged with urgency. The room fell silent, a collective breath held in suspense as all eyes turned back to the door. "What now?" What other surprise was waiting outside? Would it disrupt this newly ignited momentum? Or would it add yet another thread to the tapestry they were weaving together? The second knock came again, louder and more insistent. Mr. Thompson's heart raced. What could possibly be so important at this moment? He exchanged a look with Lucy, whose eyes sparkled with a blend of curiosity and concern. The energy in the room was palpable. It was as if everyone collectively held their breath. Should I get it? Sarah asked, her tone a mix of excitement and nervousness. Yes, please, Mr. Thompson replied, waving a hand toward the door. Let us see what it is. With a cautious smile, Sarah made her way to the door, the sound of her footsteps muffled by the anxious murmurs of the crowd behind her. She turned the handle and swung the door wide. Standing in the doorway was a young man, drenched from the rain, his clothes clinging to him. His face, however, bore a striking expression of hope. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I heard you all talking about an event, he started, his voice shaky yet determined. I just got laid off, but I wanted to help however I can. I can cook, set up, anything you need. I can't sit on my hands knowing people need support. The heartfelt honesty of his words brought a wave of silence that washed over them. One by one, faces turned to Mr. Green, who stood, expression hardening. But deep within him, the conflict raged. This young man's vulnerability sparked something he didn't quite understand. Come in, Lucy chimed after a moment, her voice like a gentle chime breaking the tension. We're making posters for the fair. We have cookies. The man's lips curled into a grateful smile as he stepped forward. Cookies? That's a pretty good incentive. As he crossed the threshold, the crowd erupted into a mix of cheers and claps. The young man looked around, overwhelmed but visibly moved by the sudden warmth of acceptance. Thank you, he said, his voice thickening. I thought I was all alone. No one is alone in this community, Mr. Thompson said, stepping forward. He met the young man's gaze. It's moments like this that remind us how intertwined our lives truly are. Mr. Green adjusted the collar of his coat, a faint frown still creasing his brow, but there was a flicker of something more and interest blooming under the weight of unexpected emotions. As the volunteers busied themselves with the supplies, the atmosphere lightened even more. They began to share stories, laughter punctuating the air line more sweetly than the scent of cookies. Look, Sarah called to the group, every event poster should reflect why we're doing this. Let us hear your stories. Laughter erupted as a little girl recounted how her dog always cheered her up when she was sad. Another shared his struggles of relocating after his family lost their home. Each shared experience stitched them closer together. Even Mr. Green found himself drawn to the warmth sparkling around him, an itch of hope igniting in the back of his mind. Maybe I should help, he murmured, more to himself than anyone else. The crowd didn't catch it, but Mr. Thompson did, a smile breaking across his face like the dawn after a restless night. Come on, Mr. Green. Lucy called, unabashed enthusiasm lighting her words. You can help us make a poster too. We need everyone's ideas. Mr. Green hesitated, the unfamiliar tug of community and belonging echoing within him. For so long he had built walls around his heart. Could he really join them? As the momentum swelled, the last rays of sunlight pierced through the windows, illuminating the space in warm hues. But just as laughter filled the room again, a sudden shift in the air brought a new sense of tension. Another knock came, different this time, a knock that hinted at something urgent, something requiring immediate attention. What now? Sarah wondered aloud, concern creeping back into the circle of warmth. Would they be able to embrace yet another unexpected twist? Or was this another challenge breaking their momentary bond? As Mr. Thompson stepped towards the door, his heart pounded. What more could possibly happen? Could they withstand another curveball while trying to build this newfound sense of community? With bated breath, he swung open the door once more. There stood a group of neighbors, soaked to the skin, flashes of desperation in their eyes. Mr. Thompson, one of them gasped, we need your help. The community center's roof has started to leak badly, and with the fair coming, we're worried it could ruin everything. A heavy silence hung in the air. The weight of the crisis felt tangible. This wasn't just about supplies anymore, it was about the very heart of their efforts. Mr. Thompson glanced back at the gathering, their faces mirroring his own mix of concern and determination. They had come so far together, could they take the next step as well? "Let us go," he said, surprising even himself with the strength of his voice. He turned to the crowd. "We need to fix this roof if we're going to gather and help everyone. Who's with me?" A thunderous cheer erupted, fueled by Lucy's infectious enthusiasm. "Yeah. Let us work together. We can do it." Mr. Green, caught in the swell of energy, found himself stepping forward too. His brow furrowed, still grappling with this emotional push. I can help source materials. My company can provide tools and any supplies you need." The words felt foreign but liberating as they left his lips. Around him, expressions brightened. The moment felt like a spark igniting a fire. Volunteers filled the room, banding together, determined to rise to yet another challenge. Mr. Thompson organized the logistics, dividing tasks quickly and efficiently. "We've got to act fast. I want teams to gather the supplies while others start fixing the roof. Let us make this happen." Lucy was already rallying a group of children to help decorate new posters while adults donned raincoats, ready to head out. Mr. Thompson felt a rush of hope. A community felt real, stitched together through shared efforts and laughter, like a living quilt of resilience. The storm may have torn through their homes, but it was also dedicating its fury to build something stronger, something vibrant. As they rushed outside, the rain had eased, though thick clouds still hung in the sky. Mr. Thompson realized they didn't only need physical support, they needed each other's emotional strength. The energy was contagious as they laid out plans, discarding their worries for this moment of unity. Together, they moved in choreographed chaos, spirits lifted with purpose. At the center of it all, Lucy bounced from group to group, her joy a guiding light. Whenever someone faltered, she would offer simple words of encouragement. "You can do it," she chimed, her feet dancing as if to a hopeful tune. As they finished organizing their efforts, a unified cheer echoed through the damp air, and for a brief moment, Mr. Thompson stood back, watching all the smiling faces illuminated in the haze of possibility and belonging. This was the rhythm of community, the laughter, the shared burdens, and the triumphs, no matter how small. That evening, as the sun broke through the clouds, casting warm golden hues across the street, they gathered back at the community center. The repairs turned into a celebration. The fair was alive with laughter, lights, and music. And when Mr. Green, initially reluctant, came to the festivities, he watched the scene unfold. Children danced, families exchanged stories, and smiles were abundant. For the first time, he found himself at ease. Nothing was ever perfect, there would always be challenges ahead, but in that moment, he recognized the significance of connection. Lucy tugged at his sleeve again, her bright eyes pleading as she handed him a freshly painted poster decorated with sunshine. "Hang this, Mr. Green. It'll show everyone that happiness lives here." With a smile breaking on his face, and feeling the warmth of her sincerity, he promised, "I'll make sure everyone sees it, Lucy." And as the day turned to dusk, casting a pink glow over the community, Mr. Thompson felt a shift in his heart. He realized this was more than just a project. They were rebuilding lives, creating connections that resonated deeply. They had come so far from where they started. Each act of kindness, each shared laughter, had altered them. It became a lesson they'd carry forward, forever intertwined like family. In the moonlight of that magical night, they stood united, reflecting the resilience and love that could emerge from even the darkest storms. If you felt the transformation in this story, if you believe in the power of community and kindness, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and let others hear these stories. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see what love and community can achieve. Let's keep inspiring each other.